listeners. It's me, your host, Kathy Wright. How y'all doing? If y'all had seen me during the promo the intro when it was playing, you would have seen me dancing. I just love that song. But anyway, it's me, your life after the lead host, Kathy Wright. I'm so glad to be here today. I'm always glad for the podcast, but today is a special, special day because one of my beloveds is here, the stress release coach. Her name is Jennifer Branison. Everybody, welcome Jennifer to the podcast. Hi,
Hello. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Jennifer. Hey, beautiful. I'm so glad you're here. So you are first of all phenomenal. I just love you, and I want everybody in the group that's watching the podcast just to learn from you today. You have a tremendous backstory. As you know, the Life After the Leap group is made up of people who are believing for greater for their futures, right? They're people who are in some cases transitioning their jobs, or they're starting dipping their toes in the entrepreneurial pool, and trying new things, and they're a group of kindred spirits, and you're part of the group, and I'm so grateful for that. And so I thought it would be really cool to bring you on today. So again, thank you for agreeing to being with us today because you have some cool stuff to share.
Yes, I do. I'm excited.
Yes, yes, yes. So when I introduced you, when I started like going on about who you are, I said that you were the stress relief coach.
Yes.
So you must share the story of why you are the stress relief coach. I'm sorry, relief coach.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I am also the author of Release the Pressure. Release the Pressure is my book that I released in April of 2022. And it is my personal health journey of how I healed from chronic stress. And it completely changed the narrative and the story of my entire life. And that's what I'm here to do. That the book is about how I completely healed from fibroids. I had endometriosis, a speech impediment. I stuttered since I was 3 years old.
Wow.
And endometriosis, high blood pressure. Did I mention high blood pressure too? So I had all of that going on and didn't necessarily know how stressed out I was. Crazy, right? So,
Right.
yes, absolutely. And I just think of, how many women are going along with life and have normalized their own stress and
Yeah.
not really owning who they are, because that's really the bulk of it, of where it comes from. And so that is my job as a coach, to get women to own their power and to assist them with rewriting the stories of their lives, and giving them permission to be okay with that and to unleash their wildest dreams.
Wow. Wow. So you said a lot in there. So I want to unpack that a little bit, right? So here you are, you're young, you're a millennial or Gen Z. Which one are you?
I'm a millennial.
She's
I'm
a
the
millennial,
quintessential
y'all.
millennial.
Millennial. And millennials sometimes get a bad rap, but I love millennials, right? Because people's like, oh, millennials, they have the world handed to them and all this different kind of stuff. But you have been able to, no matter what they say about millennials, succeed, do well. What were you talked about in 2022? You wrote this book, but what were the things that led you to that space where you felt like you could author a book? Or even before that, what were the things that were happening in your life that made you want to write a book?
Absolutely. So, in 2011 is when I graduated college, and hit the pavement, just looking for a job like any normal, like warm-blooded millennial. I wanted to achieve. I had big dreams. Like, I wanted to be the next Kathy Hughes and own me a network, and be, in entertainment, and I wanted to be the brand. I didn't know what that was or what it consists of, but I knew that's what I wanted to do in my heart of hearts. So I hit the payment, looking for jobs, was up for a job on the show called The Game,
Oh,
and didn't get it.
is that the football show?
Yes, the football
Oh
show.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. I remember that show. Okay.
I was up for a position there and didn't get the position at all, didn't get the role, and that shattered my self-confidence. It shattered my self-esteem. I think
Yeah.
that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I had no idea why. I was a shoo-in. I had connections, everything. And so a few months later, I wound up with a position. I was an account exec at a local radio station in Savannah, Georgia. And I hated it because I was like selling commercials, selling time. It was like the hardest thing that you can ever do is sell time because it's intangible.
Right.
And yeah, and I hated the job, still chipping away at my self-confidence, my self-esteem. Everything is brewing as the perfect storm. Then all of a sudden, I have a vision about this book. I was in the car, I was at a red light, completely stopped at a red light, and was taken to a place I didn't recognize. And it was me kind of traveling to the future, and had a vision about me being at a book signing. I was up on a platform, the security behind me. There was a sea of people, mainly women, in front of me, and I was signing books and I was hugging them. And as soon as I got a glimpse of myself, and it was like a mirror, a random mirror, like to my right.
Mhm.
As
Mhm.
soon as I, got a glimpse of myself, I was immediately taken out of that dream and light turned green. As soon as I opened my eyes, the light turned green. And I drove back to my house, shook me to my core,
Wow.
and told my cousin about it. And she's like, well, that obviously came from God.
Mhm.
Go ahead and write it down. So I just wrote it down and completely forgot about it. But then the next year, I get diagnosed with uterine fibroids, in 2013, endometriosis, and it just seemed like I just kept picking up more chronic diseases along the way.
Wow. So in total, you ended up being diagnosed with 5 different chronic illnesses.
Four. Yeah, four.
Four. I'm sorry,
Mhm.
4 different illnesses. And you, like, you were just really fresh out of college and very much in your 20s,
Yes.
right? And so like what was the first thing that you thought after you started getting all of these diagnoses?
Well, at least with the fibroids, I knew about fibroids in the sense of almost every woman in my family has had a hysterectomy after having fibroids. And so the only thing
Mhm.
I knew about fibroids were that you get them after you have children, and then you get your uterus taken completely out, which is the hysterectomy is the surgical removal of your like reproductive organs. And so that's the only thing I knew about.
Mhm.
And that was the narrative that was passed down to me. So when it was quote unquote my turn, almost like this dangerous rite of passage. And when I was like those fibroids, no one knew how to, what to say to me, what to do. I didn't know what to do. Hysterectomy conversation came up when I was 23. I had enough sense to say no.
Wow. Wow.
And did I any type of treatment I tried, you name it, I've tried it. I've done hormone therapy. I've had 3 surgeries. I've done it all.
Mhm.
And know that those are solutions that women look for in the moment, but they're temporary.
Mm.
And it's very important to get to the root cause of your issues. And so fast forward, we're talking to 2021. My fibroids come back,
Wow.
and still under a significant amount of stress, but didn't know. All I'm thinking about is how to get past this point, how to get rid of the disease, but didn't really want to say it out loud that I really wanted to heal, because that's what I really wanted.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
knew my experience wasn't normal, but I didn't necessarily know I didn't see a way out. So it was a very dark haze. In the middle of it, I became a women's health advocate and was, sharing what I thought was my testimony, but it really wasn't.
Mhm. You said so much there, but I want to highlight some important pieces that you named. One, you were under stress,
Hmm.
right? And I think so many of us just assume stress is normal and this is just how we have to live. But we don't know that it's creating disease states inside of our bodies.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
the second thing you said, though, is that the narrative had been handed down to you, right?
Mhm.
And that, so what is that? Were you told that you're just going to get fibroids and you're just going to have high blood pressure and and you just, what was the narrative that had been handed down to you?
Yeah, so the narrative didn't really start for me, wasn't handed down to me until I was diagnosed. So, these were closed door conversations that the women in my family were having. So, I knew about hysterectomy because it was quote unquote the surgery, but it wasn't something that you talked about openly in front of everyone. So, it wasn't until I got the diagnosis that all of these women started coming out in the woodwork. I started getting phone calls from everybody, the aunties, the cousins,
Wow.
everybody's telling me about their personal story with fibroids, and no one had never made it out. No one had never completely healed from it.
Wow.
So,
So this had been historically in your family. There was some assumption that it was going to happen to all of the women, right? Um, was the common thread though that they were had a lot of stress in their lives? Was that
yeah,
a commonality?
absolutely, absolutely. Because you think about previous generations and you think about all they went through. Like my grandparents were a part of the Great Migration. They moved from the rural South to the industrialized North. That in itself is just so immense pressure and just a lot of stress.
Hmm.
Having to migrate into a place that you don't know, and then also too, like with my mother and her dealing with her issues. She was a single mom and all of that, so all of that stress, and no one's looking at the obvious symptom.
Hmm.
They're
Hmm.
just looking at how do I just how what do I need to do in this moment to get rid of it so I can go back to living my life. And it's not really living, it's existing when you think about it too,
Hmm.
because as millennials, we were taught to, you go to school, you graduate from high school, then you go to college, and then you get a job, and then the
Hmm.
market was changing so much rapidly. By the time we graduated, we were in the middle of a recession.
Right.
And so the recession started in 2008. And so the narrative for millennials were, oh, they're spoiled, they don't want to work, they don't want to do this, they don't want to do that, which wasn't necessarily true. We
Hmm.
just, the jobs just weren't there we didn't know how to monetize our own gifts.
Yeah. I
So,
think, yeah, I think you're, I mean, everything that you're sharing is just in is giving me pause. One, because you're talking about the story of our ancestry. Our ancestors have gone through a lot. They went through a lot. And I remember my own grandmother. My father was her only child, and I remember learning much later that at some point she had to have a hysterectomy, right? And I don't know if it was also lack of good, medical care and advice. But there are just, I think, lots of women from those eras who endured incredible amounts of stress. And in your family, you've been able to identify it and tie it to reproductive issues and health. So here you are, a millennial, right? In the middle of economic downturn and uncertainty, you pick a job that you know that you're overqualified for, and it's creating stress because you really don't want to do it. You really should have gotten that job on the game, and I'm gonna call those people when we get off this podcast. But you're the opportunity that you want, you didn't necessarily have access to, and so it's creating stress in you, and it's now creating disease states for you. How did you find your way forward? How did you move from having those chronic conditions to today, being free of all of that stress and free of those conditions? What did you do?
yeah, so that's an interesting story all on its own. And so I chose to invest in myself and invest in personal development. And it was really something that I felt like in my heart of hearts I needed to do, not necessarily the personal development, because I really thought it was professional development.
Hmm.
I had gotten this job. It was my first big girl job. And
Yeah.
and in the middle of that, was doing really well, was killing it, on that front, and was now in a leadership position. I wanted to see how to navigate that space. And Lord and behold, there was this coach. One of my friends manages a financial independence group on Facebook. And here she is talking about the very same thing that I wanted to get into, to really take myself to the next level. And it was a complete revelation when I got in her program. She was like, stress is so normalized in your life that you don't even feel it. But the one important thing she did that was an important part of my story was she gave me permission to not accept what the previous generations had given me. Like, you don't have to accept what they went through. You don't have to apply that to your life. You're in a different time than they were. So you can do something, you can really do something different. And she spoke over me with power and authority that I was going to heal. And I thought she was five sheets to the wind, because I done did all this stuff for
Right.
women's health advocacy. I done did all this, all these things, had all these surgeries, and then you're going to tell me I'm going to heal by just checking my stress? What? So, but that's what happened. It's an incredible, beautiful journey of really just creating another story, creating your own story, and really standing on your own 2 feet.
Wow. And so you were able to make the decision that you wanted your life to be different, and you leaned in on personal development, in this case coaching, and the coach was able to and I've talked about her here before, Christy Rutherford. She's amazing. But she was able to help you do the work, guide you to the work that you needed to do to release some of the pressure that you had built up, and relieve yourself of some of the narrative that you had learned throughout your years, and giving you a new story to tell, actually commanding you to tell a new story.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think, yeah, that is just the most important part, to just drop the old narratives and false ideologies that that you can't heal from these things, because you absolutely can. And I am proof that it is possible, and I know that now that is my calling, to
Hmm.
now help other women to recognize who they are, because the transformation in me was that I became more confident. The transformation in me was that I began to own who I was, and what my power, and really what that meant for me. I started to remember who I was. That is the most beautiful part about this journey. And then you begin to show up differently. Like, once you're able to recognize who you are, like, you recognize your gifts, you recognize what you want to do, and you just come back to yourself, and you become unstoppable.
I love it. I love it. And in your along your journey, you learned so much. You decided to put it all in a book. How about that? How about that? I just love it. And I've got the crawl going across the bottom of the screen where people can actually purchase the book. But I'm just gonna share a screen real quick and show them what the book looks like. I just love it. It is a wonderful, wonderful book that again, like Jennifer talked about, it describes like where she was in life, and how she was able to finally identify what was the root cause of these four chronic conditions that she was able to heal from. And so I want to encourage all of our listeners, all of our viewers, to take a moment. And if you are that woman, or you have a woman in your life, if you have a young daughter, who you want to help, like, show them how it can happen, like how you can be free, and how you can release some of the pressure that comes from society, from family narratives, from just being right. This is a way to help them look at it with a new set of eyes, and find a way forward.
Yeah.
So the book is available on releasethepressure.com. Is there anything else that you would want to highlight about the book? Um, And
Yeah.
who's appropriate for?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I wrote this book for every woman who felt like their health was too big of a mountain to climb. Like we were called to move mountains. And so that is who I designed this book for, who I'm talking exactly to. It's because I feel like it doesn't matter what chronic disease that you have. It's really just about owning who you are and really, really remembering who you are. And so if you feel like you have lost a part of your self-confidence, or you're not really showing you feel like you're not really showing up as yourself, or even if you don't feel like yourself, most of the time, then Release the Pressure is definitely the book for you.
And I love that. But sometimes, we can get these books and we may need some additional help. And I know that you're also a coach.
Yes,
Right. So you
absolutely.
gotta talk to us about how the book got you to this space where now you're coaching women on releasing the pressure.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because the book is only the tip of the iceberg. And so you can find me at Private Community Stress Relief for Professional Women. That's on Facebook. You can find us there. You can also, find me on LinkedIn. I am heavily active on LinkedIn. I'm as Jennifer Branison, the Stress Relief Coach. I'm on Instagram at Jen Branison, and on Facebook, Jennifer.Branison. I'm everywhere.
I
And
love that.
so, yeah, so if you, yeah, absolutely. If you want to, if you're looking for, a way to invest in yourself, and you're interested in with the services that I provide, because I have a program now to help other women like own their power and increase their confidence as well, then definitely inbox me, or shoot me an email. My email is releasethepressurebook@gmail.com. And let's get this party started.
I love all of that. And I go on and on about coaching all the time. I'm a coach, you're a coach. But like, so what, right? People are like, oh, everybody's a coach. But I'm telling you that coaching was the number one thing that shifted everything in my life. Everything. Everything for how I show up as myself, how I show up in the professional space, how I show up with my kids. I mean, it just really doing that. Personal development is how you put it, right? And not it's different than in being in therapy, right? Because in therapists they kind
Mhm.
of tell you what's wrong, what you need to do, and they sometimes they subscribe prescribe, I can't say that, prescribe for you some medications and things like that, and that's okay for some things, but this is different.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't feel like you should rely on medication anyway, because if
Right.
you really think about it, that is the last ditch effort.
Hmm.
They really want you to really heal on your own. But yeah, but just not only that, a lot of the benefits that I received from personal development, I can just run down the list of things, not, in the sense of the increased confidence is great, and how you show up as your true and authentic self. But I also got a raise and a bonus within 2 weeks of investing in myself. I've got my purpose revealed to me. The book has taken off. I gotten so much notoriety at my job because I was a person that faded to the background because I was carrying so much weight on
Hmm.
me, just in this mental weight of just having all of the stress and all of these chronic diseases. I didn't feel like I could show up, and so I just faded to the background. Like I was perfectly fine, like being the background to someone
Hmm.
else's foreground, like in my
Hmm.
Angela Bassett voice.
Right.
But now, I feel like I'm able to show up. I don't feel like I need to be anybody else to do it. And so that's really what I want to help women do.
I love it. I think the value that you add, the story that you have to tell is so powerful. I think there are so many of us who are just stressed out, right? The world has created this stress-filled environment for many of us, and a lot of us need a way forward. And your example, I think, is in just tremendous in that it is real. You've got real results, like real medical results that show like you can dramatically make the decision to change your life and relieve yourself of stress, and also relieve yourself of some conditions that in this case they were really like something that historically you just thought you might have.
Right, right.
Right.
Yeah, I just accepted it as if this was going to be my life. I was just going to get these surgeries until I had these kids, and
Hmm.
that's just going to be it.
Hmm.
Now I'm at the point where I'm living my life. Don't ask me about no kids.
Well, I just love that it is an option, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
have the option to choose whatever you want for your future now that you found a way forward to release the pressure.
yeah.
And I just love that you have put all of this together, and that now there is a way for people to actually access that information and get connected to you. So what I'm gonna do, like when we post the podcast, we'll make sure that we have your Facebook and your LinkedIn and your IG and your email all there for anybody who might want to reach out to you, because I think I think you'll have a lot of people who will want to reach out to you and talk and learn more about how to get into your coaching, and they may have some questions that they want to ask, specifically, and hopefully while they're also purchasing the book.
Yeah.
uh, we want to sell a lot of books, right? But
Absolutely.
we also want you to be free. We want everyone in the Life After the Leap group to be able to take the leaps that they need to make to go to greater, to make their life greater, more empowered, more confident, as Jennifer referred to, but just designing the future that they would like to have, that is maybe dramatically different than what you're currently experiencing. So Jennifer, as we get ready to finish up here, tell me, is there any advice, sage advice, that you might give um, a young woman, someone middle aged like me, or even older? Like, what do we talk? What are the things that you would tell us are most important about getting to the place where you have released the pressure?
Absolutely, that you don't have to take on the weight of the world. You can put the weight of the world down. You have permission to do that. You don't have to take everyone's issues as your own, because we as women, period, doesn't matter what age that you're in, we're groomed to take care of other people. We're
Mm,
not groomed to take care of ourselves. And so if you need help, you can start there. Learn the true definition of self-care, and that is getting into personal development. That is, taking the time to doing the effective work on yourself, because trust and believe, you can get as many massages, you can get as many manis and petties, and all of these things is not going to work if your mindset isn't right. And so in the year of our Lord 2023,
mm.
let's make sure we get these minds right, and so we can really unleash the life of our dreams.
I love that. I love that. And you heard it, guys. You heard it right here. Jennifer is telling us exactly that what has helped her, what she's been able to do. She's living proof. Her book is amazing. Please get it. Again, you can check it out at the website listed below. We'll post all of her contact information for her group on Facebook. She does have a group on Facebook, in addition to her IG and her LinkedIn, which you can reach out to her in any of those genres. So thank you again, Jennifer. It is so amazing that you came on today. You are awesome, and I love you.
Oh, I love you too.
All right, all right. Well, thanks everybody, and we'll see you next time on Life After the Leap. Bye.